Hello, it's John Binnie. Hi. I'm driving back from a wonderful day at Naked Revive. I'm a little bit discombobulated. Just had 3 sessions, and they were wonderful, all wonderful. A reflexology session, an in-person quantum psychic healing session, and then an online quantum psychic healing session. And to all 3 clients, thank you so much. Thank you for booking me. It was wonderful. You're all really beautiful souls, and just such an honor to help you at this time. And I was thinking, I wonder what I'll talk to you about. And in all honesty, this is the 3rd time I've hit record on this video, because I was just not just rambling like I normally do, but I was like, I'd stopped. I was like, I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah, I did get, on the theme of rest, I did get a good nap in my camper van at lunchtime. I'm going to get a nice early night tonight as well. Just trying to be psychic and figure out where these cars are going when they don't indicate. Excuse me. So, oh yeah, I was going to talk to you about solar panels and heat pumps. Oh, please tell me if you have a heat pump. I would be really fascinated. I can explain a bit about what they are, because I didn't really know what they were until I started getting interested in them. So yeah, our house is 2003, so what is that, 22 years old or thereabouts? So it's still a newish house in the average, certainly the average age of houses in the UK. And so I had no solar, and they've stopped, I think it's actually last summer, they stopped giving out grants to homeowners to be able to install their own solar panels. And I often fancied the idea of them, and the idea of like saving money with them, and then also being good for the environment. And also I feel there's the geek in me that wants to be more conscious geek, wants to be more consciously aware of power consumption, because I find it really fascinating in our camper van. Like when you're just like when my road trip comes up at the end of this month and I drive down to the southern tip of England, it'd be really fascinating to experience relying on, you get a bit of solar at this time of year. It's not yet summer, so it's not like super powered, but it's going to overtake this tractor going very slowly. It's funny how it doesn't really show up on the camera until you're right up on it. There it is there. So yeah, I'm really keen to be more conscious about what I consume. And I'm also fascinated about, we'd often put off buying solar panels because we're worried that we're just going to move house, and so what was the point in spending, circa £10,000? Or I don't know what the possible range of the cost would be. Maybe it's somewhere between about 7 or 8 and 15,000. So yeah, I really have enjoyed learning about solar panels, watching a lot of YouTube videos. And if you don't have solar panels on your home, what seems to be the case is that, and maybe this isn't like super surprising to you, but it made sense to me, is that by about this time, so by about March, April time, in Scotland anyway, that's when solar becomes useful, right? So you can run during the day when there's sunshine and they're powering your solar panels. You can take that power and either just use it, for free in your home. So it's a great time to charge things like camper van batteries, etc. Or you can also charge a battery, like get a home battery and charge that up. Or you can charge an electric car if you have one. Or you can give the electricity back to the grid. We call our national grid in the UK. And initially we were looking at something like 13 solar panels, 13 450 watt. I guess the technology continues to move on, and I think 450 watt is the maximum or thereabouts that you can get in one solar panel. And so I'd have 13 of those, mainly, and maybe not aesthetically as pleasing across the front of the house. But when we did the calculations, because it's not a huge house, I mean it is a 4-bedroom house, but it would, by US standards it would be tiny, but I'd say it's pretty average for UK house size, maybe a little bit above average. So I think the average might be a 3-bedroom, or it's a bit like we often say 3.4 children is like the average family size, or used to be. So this really fascinating thing happened where we did the initial estimates of the capacity we needed, but we got it wrong because we were looking at old electricity bills to figure out, we assumed that in the last year my power consumption, or my family's power consumption, hadn't gone up that much, but it looked like it had gone up still relatively low, I think from 6, just under 6, no, is that right? Yeah, it was 3,700 kilowatts. And is that per day or per month? Oh, I'm getting confused. Anyway, that was what it was spec'd for. Was that per year? My mind's gone blank. Anyway, that was a number. And then what we checked again is actually 4,700 kilowatts. I feel like that's a day's consumption, which seems like a lot. And so then, as a result of that, when we checked online and checked the energy provider, and that was how much we're paying, electricity we're consuming, what it did was up to the specification of solar panels, up to 19 times 450 watts, which is a lot, right? And then we also have a battery. I think the battery is around 5 kilowatts or 5 point something kilowatts. And the idea is that during the day, any excess energy that we're not using will go to the batteries, and then the battery and then that will run the house overnight until the next day. And any excess you can also give back to the grid, and you can sell it back to the grid if you want. So that'd be cool. But I was also really keen on getting a heat pump. And if you don't know what a heat pump is, because I didn't, is instead of using a gas boiler, it's an electrical device, and it works really like an air conditioning unit, but in the opposite direction, right? So what it does is, instead of the way it was described to me was, it uses gases that freeze at very like normal, like ambient temperatures, and that freezing process causes the what do you call it, energy transfer, I guess. And what a heat pump can do is, if you put in 100 watts of electricity into it, it can give you 300-400 watts back, which is great, right? And what's funny about it, what it does is it creates heat in your home but cools the outside. And I think it's really cold air, like blasting cold air that comes out this fan, like a big air conditioning unit. Anyway, we looked at that for our house, but the solar panels will pay for themselves and actually begin to turn a profit within 8 years. And I don't know, psychologically that seems like it's not bad, right? I can imagine 8 years from now, and I can imagine still having my solar panels going, oh good, look, I'm getting all this stuff for free. And And then I think these solar panels that we're buying will last for at least 30 years. So they would pay for themselves 3 or 4 times over, by that merit, which would be amazing. I think it's a really good investment. The heat pump, though, it requires several £1,000s worth of replacements of our radiators because they're likely too small. So they need to be heat pumps. They can go up to higher temperatures as your gas boiler, but they're likely not. You're not going to want to run them at that heat because they're way less efficient. So that 300 or 400% efficiency might dramatically reduce. Oh, it's fascinating. This road is closed. Resurfacing. How nice. So we looked at that, and I think the last time we checked calculations, it would take between 12 and 13 years to pay itself off, and it just seems a lot longer. Feels a bit like almost twice as long as a solar panel installed paying itself off. But there's also this added advantage. One problem we have is that our hot water system can't be heated by solar because it doesn't have its own heating element, or at least not in a way that you can use with solar, which is a little bit ironic because it does have a heating element, but it can only be used for emergency. If you know better, if you happen to have a Boilermate 2000, let me know, and we'll get it connected up to be heated by solar. But yeah, that's really annoying, because what I didn't realize is that solar systems often create way more energy than you can use, and the rate in which not surprisingly, the rate in which the electricity providers will give that electricity back, will give you in return either credit to your account or cash, is that it's not very helpful, right? They're going to give you a much lower rate than it was if you were to buy it. So yeah, we ummed and ahed about it, and to be fair to the amazing company, the Edinburgh Boiler Company, they're fantastic to work with. They did offer me a discount, and I thought it was a really lovely discount. But what I just struggle with is knowing as a total system, because I was shown that 12 years or so to pay itself back, and it's not necessarily that it needs to pay itself back, because we're going to have to replace our boiler at some point, and maybe some point soon. It's 22 years old, at a cost of about 3,000, and you do get a government grant for half of the price or thereabouts that we were being quoted for the heat pump. But what I really struggle to know is like how much solar, like free energy, would go into could help support, for instance, the hot water, and then the heating when it's on, because the heating, we still have the heating on at this time, but there would, these are periods where you'd have solar and energy, and you could help heat the house from that solar energy. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I'd love to know if you have a solar, I keep calling it a solar heat pump. If you have a heat pump, you don't need solar for it, just electricity, then I think it'd be really fascinating to hear from you what your experience is. And if we don't get it now, which it seems unlikely we will, but if we did, for example, if it was a similar price and paid itself off in 5-8 years or something, maybe that would be amazing, right? You think, actually, that's, even hypothetically, you think that sounds like a much better return investment, or just investment full stop. Anyway, that's my geeky chat about solar panels, and Oh, the other thing I learned about solar panels is if you're often, like in the UK anyway, that you pay a peak rate for your electricity during the most popular periods, and that is during about 4 p.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. I guess when we make dinner, come home from work, watch TV, all these things. And if you have solar panels that that are able to, give you solar during that peak window, which is fascinating, right? Because it's often the evening, like for us anyway, the evening sun is, our house almost faces directly into the west. Well, it's off a bit, but it gets a lot of evening sun. That is actually the most valuable sun to get, and I never really thought of it like that. It's like, oh, that's great. So if you position the solar panels towards the most expensive part of the day, literally, then you get the most savings. Fascinating, right? Anyway, that's me. I am home now. Thank you for watching, and yeah, let me know if you have solar panels, heat pumps, any other greener technologies. I mean, I don't know how green it is to spend so much money on all these panels, etc., and have them installed. I'm sure that has its own cost in the environment, but maybe over time it will help. Ooh, there's a parcel here. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're enjoying all these videos I've been posting. Take care, everyone. Sending love. Bye.